A couple of days ago I posted this reel on my Instagram, and it featured that clip there with me removing that bottom bracket. That bottom bracket was stuck for a while, and I tried to get it out several times, but this was the time that I actually succeeded. And the reason I succeeded was because I used a breaker bar, like a really long, about that long, socket wrench essentially. Put it in a low leverage and bam, it made this satisfying sound. But then it got me thinking a bit more about this bar and the fact that it's probably one of my favourite tools I have. Don't use it very often, but when I do use it, God, am I glad I have it. So today's video is all about the tools that I wish I bought sooner. So these are in no particular order, but the first one I was going to talk about is the breaker bar, and I've pretty much covered it so far, but essentially it is a massive bar, and you can just use a massive like pole or something and just put your actual socket in it, or wrench or whatever you're doing attached to it and stuff like that. I actually did in the past. I can't remember exactly why I was doing it and what I was trying to achieve, but I had a wrench, massive big wrench like this, attached to a pole with about 1,000 zip ties. It's on my YouTube channel somewhere. I definitely can't find it right now, but if I do find it, I'll maybe put it on my Instagram or something. But it was, yeah, insane. I think it worked, but it was insane. So the breaker bar was really useful, and I think this one cost me like 20 quid. They're not too expensive, and you do need, I mean, you won't use it very often. It's going to be sat in the back of the shed, but that moment you're like, I can't get this BB out, or I can't get this out, or this whatever else out. Oh, it's satisfying. And like, I've not come across a BB that I've not been able to get out since I had this, so it's worth having. Now the next one's going to be kind of 50-50 with a lot of you. You either really need it or you never need it, and it's a bleed kit. Only a couple of my bikes actually have hydraulic brakes. The cargo bike has them. We have two trail bikes that both have hydraulic brakes. The dad bike I built, the Kona, which currently is kind of in the middle of being dismantled anyway, because I'm going to use that and rebuild it to something else. We'll talk about that another time. And a new bike that will be coming, potentially the next bike we build on the channel, will also have hydraulic brakes. So yeah, it's one of those things that you either need or you don't need. And I think if you have any bike that has hydraulic brakes, you need one of these. And I just put up with not having great hydraulic brakes for quite some time before I bought one. So the one that I have, I believe it's made by Avid, but I don't think it is. I know it's yellow. It kind of looks like this one here. Maybe it is this one here. I'll put some links down below, I'm sure. And it's very good. This one does work on all brake systems. So it's lots and lots and lots of tiny little bits inside for different parts. But it works really, really well. I don't think you can go that wrong with a lot of bleed kits. The main thing is the fact that the syringes need to be good. If your syringe doesn't have a lot of pressure, it's going to be hard to kind of get the fluid to go through the system when you're flushing it like in one go, and you don't want to push more bubbles in it because your bloody syringe is rubbish. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, spend a little bit of money on it, but not like insane amounts of money. If you have a shop, maybe go in for something with the part tool one, like a legit one that's got loads of different kit in it, but it's like really highly made. I got a feeling mine was probably like 20 quid again, not too expensive, but anything less than that, you might not be great. Or it might be fine. It's very hard to know. But yeah, it's an easy one. You either need it or you don't need it. If you have hydraulic brakes, get yourself a bleed kit. It's not as hard as you'd think to learn how to bleed. Certain systems are easier than others. Shimano is super easy. It's super easy to bleed them. I've never had an issue with them. SRAM takes a little bit of practice, and some of the others, I think a lot of the others are very easy as well. It's mainly SRAM and Magura as well. It's supposed to not be a little bit more, you have to a little bit of practice, but I've never tried myself, so I don't know for sure. If you have a Magura set and you've bled them and you know how easy it is, let us know in the comments so we all know as well. The next one, and possibly my most recent purchase, for tools at least anyway, is the hanger and alignment tool. Now, most of these bikes that we're working on, especially the retro ones, have been sat in a garage for years, leant up against the wall with 6 other bikes and a lawnmower and the kitchen sink leaning up against it. So a lot of the frames are knackered. They have bends and all sorts of dinks and stuff in them. And the only thing that really truly matters, especially on these steel beauties, is the hanger. If it's out of whack, like essentially no matter how much adjustment you'll do, it's still not going to be just like, something's not right, essentially. And I have a couple of bikes like that. The Scott Impulse, for example, that alignment on that bike, it was never quite right. It was very close. There was only a couple of gears that it didn't quite like, so I just left it and let it play. But it was probably the hanger, and I've got some plans for that bike. Again, lots of bike plans this year, so we'll come back to that one in the future, and I'll sort it out then. But the other one was more recently, the Moon Run. That again, like shifting was okay for a little while, and then it would start going out of whack again. I'd have to adjust it, and then it would like only last a couple of days, and then it would be going weird again. So I bought the alignment tool for that bike, used it for the first time recently, and it works brilliantly now. Like, I've not had any shifting problems at all. Now, I don't know 100% how to use these tools. They do take a little bit of practice. The one big thing, or the big bit of advice I got from you guys in the comments from that video, because I said I didn't really know how to use it, is the fact that when you are aligning it with the wheel, is to choose one spot on the wheel and push the wheel round. Especially on our retro bikes, some of our wheels are a little bit out of whack as well. So being able to like use one point on the wheel supposedly helps. I've not had to do it again yet, and the way I did it worked fine. But we will probably talk about that tool again in the future. It's something you should do on all bikes, really, just to kind of check them out before you build them, because you don't want to have to get all the way to the end to realise it was knackered, and you have to take it all apart to kind of sort out again, you know what I mean? So yeah, alignment tool. This one's a little bit more expensive. This one, I think mine cost me about £45. They're usually a bit more expensive than that. I think that was on sale. It's one of those more kind of like professional tools, specific, you know, you don't use it very often, most people won't need it, but if you're someone like me who's constantly working on bikes, I'm now glad I have it, because it's one of those things that really annoys me when my hangers aren't quite right. Before we go on to the next one, I've got a little bit of an update and something I want to share with you. Firstly, I've got really organised with my stickers. Don't look at the top row though, because they're the unreleased ones that will be coming out very soon. But look how like set up that is, and the stock levels are at all-time high. I've went mad and restocked everything. I got loads of different things, and the ones that you often ask for, they're all in stock, so you can pick them up on saveoldbikes.com. But also on the 4th of May, I'm hosting my second group ride, and it is the Krusty Cruise 2. This is the poster here. We are going for a ride through Epping Forest this time, so it's not going to be a city ride. We're meeting in Leytonstone sort of area. It's a place called Hollow Ponds, just on the edge of it. Technically is Epping Forest, it's part of the forest, but it's just on the edge of the actual tree line, if you like. And then we are going to go for a nice kind of cruise through the forest. We're going to do skidding competitions again. We're going to be doing giveaways for some stuff from Chrome, Juice Lubes and Hip Lock, and we've even got some hydration from none other than Liquid Death. So there's literally tons of reasons for you to come. So if you're in London or able to get to London for the 4th of May, please do come. It'd be awesome to meet you guys. It'd be awesome to go for a ride with a load of people in the forest. I do love that kind of thing. There's a bunch of you that are already confirmed. I know there's at least 5 or 6 definites. I don't really want to like last time was like 18, 20, no, I think it's 21 people in total, but by the end of the ride there was only 18 people left because people had to duck off for different things. Like that was quite a few people to get through the city, going through all the narrow paths and stuff through the forest. That'll be a right laugh. So let's see who's available. Also, everybody who comes gets a free Krusty Cruise sticker. I've ordered loads of these, so if there's any left over, maybe I'll put them on the website afterwards. But yes, 4th of May. Come and have fun. There's more details on my Instagram if you want to check it out. This one's quite an important one. I feel like it's something that most people, if not everybody who works on bikes, should have. And another tool that I just didn't buy. I was like, it's fine. But it's a torque wrench. For people that don't know, especially things like your headsets, the bolts need to be at a certain tightness for safety reasons. I'm not a safety kind of guy. I just get on these bikes and kind of ride off into the wind and see what happens. But the idea is the fact that they're at a certain torque, so one, they don't kind of stress the bolts and kind of cause them to snap and things like that, but also it's for longevity as well. Like if everything's at the right torque, it's going to work the way it's supposed to work, essentially. I have 2 torque wrenches. I don't have any footage of them, I've just realised, because it's the sort of thing I do after the video's been filmed. Like that first ride, I usually go out, ride my bike around the block a few times. Once I've changed the handlebars shape and size and whatever else shape, you know what I'm about, adjustments and stuff. As soon as I've done that, I come back, torque everything up, and then it's done. So I don't often film that part. But I have 2. I have this one here, which is like a little kind of like budget one, both from Lifeline, and then I also have this one here, which is their kind of pro one, I think it's called, which is way better, and it has all the different torques, and it's just a really nice tool. That one was actually given to me from Lifeline, but I think they're maybe quite cheap, and that one I actually purchased, and I've maybe like 30 quid, so again, not too much money, but you can shop around. A torque wrench is a torque wrench is a torque wrench, really. If you get one from AliExpress, that might not be so much true, because they do get calibrated, obviously, to be able to do their torquing, but yes, a torque wrench. Before I get on to my last one, there's a couple of honourable mentions, if you like. One is a really good hammer, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy and expensive, but just one that's solid. And when I say a hammer, I mean like a sledgehammer, not even a sledgehammer, like a mallet, something soft, mainly for like headsets and things. I use my mallet all the time, and I had one years ago that just like every time you hit it, or if you hit it too hard, the head would just fly away, and it was annoying. I got one now that's solid. I've had it for a very long time. I even take it camping for like pegs and stuff. It's perfect. Other thing is a really like a solid set of like Allen keys or hex wrenches. Something that's got like T wrenches on there as well. So like a T25 mainly, because it's the only one you really use. The rest of them not as often. But yeah, I've got some really nice ones from Lifeline that they gifted me last year. They're like got a nice spinny thing on them. They're very, very, very good, but very expensive. As long as you get something that's branded, usually it's good enough. There's some that will wear out over time, but generally, I always say in all these videos, a decent pair of Allen keys. They'll last you for as long as you want them to, as long as you look after them. But let's move on to the last one. So the one thing that I put off for years and years and years before I finally got something decent was a decent work stand. And elephant in the room, I didn't pay for mine. I was lucky enough to get given it by Lifeline. But I was about to purchase one anyway. That just happened to align when I really needed it. But years previously, I bought a really budget one on Amazon. We've all seen them. We may have all had them at some point, but they're very cheaply made. They're all different names, but they all look identical, and they usually have red or blue or a bit of red and blue plastic on a black stand, like that. They're all the same. But mine took a beating. I sometimes left it outside because I am, after all, the backyard mechanic, and I forget to take stuff inside sometimes, and it got totaled. I used it for painting. I had paint all over it. It was very bad. And there was this one time I was working on my like $3,000 gravel bike that I impulsively bought once and then never really rode. That's another video. And I was working on it, took both wheels off, doing bits and pieces, and then the head of the stand just snapped off, and it fell to the ground and landed on the chainring, and the chainring just went whoop, and that was a very expensive day. All I was doing was cleaning the bike. So yeah, get a decent stand. Like I said, mine's from Lifeline. It's really well made. This is their pro one. I can't remember off the top of my head how much it costs, but it is it's well worth it, put it that way. Loads of people make them. I know that Park Tools obviously makes several different versions that are very popular and very good, well made. Pedro's also have a really good one, and there's another one that's on the tip of my tongue that is worth looking at, but I've forgotten. I can't remember what it is, but it will be this one. That one's also meant to be really good. But I think there's some work stands have different things, the way the actual bike attaches to it. I'd say if you're going to look at an expensive work stand, then like again, if you do build a lot of bikes, it probably is worth buying one. That the only thing that's usually different is the fact that the actual head that you attach the frame to, or the saddle to, however you attach on your bike, have like quick releases, and they pivot and they do this. That's the thing to look at. Work out which one you like the most of, and that's the one to go for. But yeah, work stands, like once you have a really good one, it's really good. You know what? I said that was the last one, but a very quick one that is kind of important, is a really good chain tool. I didn't realise chain tools were different until I had a decent one. Again, it was from Lifeline, but chain tools, I can't even explain it. It's one of those weird ones. They all do the same thing. They work fine, but when you have a really well made one, that cutting a chain is actually a really satisfying thing to do. I always found it a little bit kind of jarring, a little bit like snaps. Blah, blah, blah. My one that I've got now is just like smooth, and it's very nice. But that's it. Now we're done. And that about wraps it up actually. I really do enjoy doing these types of videos where we talk about things that I've learned over the last couple of years, or kind of like tools or things or products or whatever else. So if you do like these kind of videos, we do videos every single week here. A lot of bike builds, some reviews, but everything's always bike related, sometimes loosely, but it's bike related stuff. So if you fancy subscribing, that's the button to press now. And if you can't wait until next week's video, that one there is a particularly good one.